Good evening. Hello. You are here with Samantha Brown. You are in the Get Facebook Famous challenge and we are on day 15. And day 15 is all about owning it, being real, vulnerable and telling your stories. So I'm going to cover with you today how to tell stories, what kinds of things to talk about. Again, just trying to make it as easy as possible for you to get your content out there and then be attracting in your ideal customer who's going to love you and enjoy working with you, and you're going to love working with them. So I just wanted to give you a little story of what I've been up to today. So I've had some really exciting phone calls today, and I've also been on a group coaching call with Grant Cardone, so I'm pretty fired up right this second. Like every time I have a session with him, I come away and I'm like, oh my God, I can do so much more. And I really want to be able to try and infuse that onto you as well. So I want to give you some tips today of things you can do and things you can talk about so that you can just go and take action, and hopefully by the end of this, you will be excited and ready to just go and get your content out there. So just to recap what we've done so far, we've talked about your Facebook profile funnel, how to write the right things on your Facebook profile so that people come through from your profile into your page, into your group, and you're just attracting people in as easily as possible. Then we talked about your audience, working out who your perfect person is, and really niching down and where they are as well. So who has already got your perfect customer, your perfect client in their audience that you could go and start speaking to. So that's like your Dream 100, what groups are they hanging out in, and then going and actually posting content in those groups that shows that you are the expert, and then you become known, and then people click on your Facebook profile, which leads them into your Facebook funnel. So we talked about your profile funnel, we talked about your audience, we've talked about easy ways to produce content, so content marketing, the content marketing machine, and loads of really quick and easy ways of producing content that not only is easy for you, but also mega valuable for your customers and potential customers as well. So things like how-tos, testimonials, frequently asked questions, things that you get asked all the time. And also we talked about objections that you get during the course of your working week, and using those as topics to talk about so that you can be getting past objections before they even become objections, which is like super ninja matrix style, or Inception style really, marketing. So, and then we have come on to owning it. So being vulnerable and being real and talking about, everything really that promotes what you do and talks about the life that you're living, but also just highlights the you that you are. So, having no shame in any part of you and just putting that out there, and, almost like don't worry about what's going to happen. Just do it. I'll give you some examples from my life. Recently, I've had my phone fall off the tripod that it was on, attached to a window frame, so that mid-live, my phone's just fallen on the floor. The first ever live that I did into a group of 26,000 people, my iPad fell over. Actually fell backwards, so that everybody was looking up a Tiffany star lampshade on the ceiling. That was pretty interesting. I've had my son walk in. I mean, you guys have seen that in one of the frequently asked questions sessions. My son came in. He does that every now and again. I remember one of the first ones I did when he used to sleep in the car, and I was like, oh, brilliant, I can do lives in the car while he's sleeping. And he woke up and told everybody he was awake. But stuff happens, and it's just okay. You just have to roll with it. So what I wanted you guys to talk about, or to talk to you about today, is using your own stories that happen in your life as ways of connecting with your audience. And there are some key stories that you need to be telling on a consistent basis when you're putting content out there. And these are lots of different people teach this, and the one that I found the easiest to understand is the way that Russell Brunson teaches this. And if you don't know who Russell Brunson is, where have you been? He's the founder of ClickFunnels, which is now a over $100 million a year company in just like 4 years. It's nuts. But also it is the hotspot of creating new millionaires. So there are something like 300 millionaire funnels inside ClickFunnels. But anyway, so the way that Russell Brunson teaches talking about stories and things is like the first one you need to talk about is your origin story. So most often your customers and your ideal clients are going to actually be the kind of person you were before you had this massive breakthrough and where you are now. So the way that Russell describes it is he talks about, when you're talking about your origin story, is going through the hero's 2 journeys. So where you were or where your customer was and the problems they're having, and they're really they're struggling. So this is talking about vulnerability. You have to accept that you're going to have to talk about times were hard for you. And hopefully, in a good way, you've had some hard times, so you've got things to talk about. So here you are at the beginning of the journey, and probably this is where your customer is now. And you went along, and then some kind of big disaster struck. Now think of a film, any film you've known. Hero's going along, everything's great, disaster struck. Oh no, everything looks like it's lost. Then, miraculously, you managed to push through and break through and find some discovery that got you over your problems. And then you're into this big successful space. So I'll give you an example from me. One of the problems I used to have, so I used to go networking all the time, and I'd go to sometimes as many as 4 networking meetings a week, which is nuts. And I used to run 2 networking meetings a week. And I was going to these meetings, and they'd be local meetings, and sometimes you'd only get 6 people, especially when I went to other people's meetings. There'd be like 6 people in the room, and I was spending an hour travelling, I was spending 2 hours there, another hour travelling back, and I was just running out of time. I'm a single parent to a 3-year-old now, although he was 2 at the time, and I was just running out of time to actually do anything. And I'd be presenting to 6 people. And I remember one morning my son saying to me, "Mummy, can you stay home and play, please? Don't go to work." And I was just absolutely devastated. I was like, "I know, I've committed to actually go speak somewhere. I have to go. I can't even not turn up to a network meeting. I'm supposed to be speaking." So I went, and I live streamed my speech while I was there. And at the end of it, there were 6 people in the room. And I'd driven an hour there, and I was there for 2 hours. And at the end of my speech, and it wasn't a sales pitch because you can't do those at the events that I've been going to, I'd had 600 views on my video and on a talk that I'd been doing anyway. It wasn't even like I'd taken time out to go and do a video. Literally, it was just a talk that I was doing anyway. I'd had 600 views at the end of this, and I was like, "Oh my god, I've had 100 times as many views as there are people in the room. That's nuts." Imagine if everything that I did was video. Imagine how many people I could reach. I wouldn't have to go to a network meeting with 10 people in the room and spend 4 hours actually dedicated to this one meeting for 10 people, when I can reach 100 people, 1,000 people with one video, spending the same time talking of 20 minutes. And I was like, this is crazy. Why on earth am I going to networking meetings? Why am I not just using Facebook Live? And that for me was one of the tipping points of saying, I need to be utilising Facebook for business. I can't just go and waste some time scrolling and saying hi to friends and looking at baby pictures and stuff. That was it. That was gone for me. I then realised I need to be using Facebook for business, and I need to be using Facebook Live for business and putting my stuff out there and reaching people. At the time, I was just doing it all for free, all organically. No money was being spent. It was all organic. And at the end of the year, I had 100,000 views on my videos, which means, if you don't know Facebook ads that well, I've got 100,000 people that I can target with future ads for really, really cheap. Because once someone's seen you, it's really cheap to actually go and retarget them. So I just had this epiphany of I've got to be using Facebook Live. And so here we are today, me teaching about using Facebook Live for business, and being able to bring in clients that come to you, and it's really easy, and you don't have to stand there at meetings and shake hands and meet people and make idle chit chat and have coffee and spend an hour having coffee and then another coffee, and then finally they refer you someone and all that kind of stuff. So that there is an example of your hero's 2 journeys. So struggling, time, problem, going to networking meetings, then having an epiphany, which I did, and then out come the next leg of the journey, and I'm still on my journey, and we are still always on our journeys, of being able to reach thousands and thousands and thousands of people for free through Facebook around the world, which I'd never would be able to do just going to local meetings. So I know you've got at least one of those stories inside you. And what I want you to do, your homework for today, is to think about that story. So write it down in the comments. Tell me what your struggle was. The thing that you're doing now, the thing that you teach, the thing that you speak about, the thing that you help people with, Facebook ads is obviously something that I help people with, because you can just magnify everything that you're doing and massively explode it for really, really cheap. So like, what's the thing that you do? Write that in the comments, and then tell me what was the epiphany that you had. And you're probably going to have to go back and think about it. What was the epiphany that you had that made you go, oh my God, this is the thing I've realised, and then you massively change the trajectory of your life. So Eloise has put self-worth for you. Hello, Eloise. Thank you very much for watching. I haven't done my usual thing, actually. Let's do this really quickly. So if you're watching live, give me a hashtag live. And if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay for you. Hi, guys. Let me know what you're up to, how your day's been, all that kind of stuff. So Eloise says self-worth for you. So you had an epiphany around self-worth. That is amazing, because, you know, I'll tell you what, that's one thing so many people struggle with. Like, and actually, even the big people really struggle with self-worth, because they realise they're playing at a super high level. And like, so self-worth is always an amazing thing to be talking about, because at risk of going against the whole niche thing, everybody has issues with self-worth at some point. So Eloise has said, my epiphany was when I realised that you were worthy. Yes, totally. And that is such an epiphany to have. And I love that you had it. And now, of course, you're sharing that with everybody else. And you've started doing Facebook Lives since joining this challenge, which is amazing. And you're getting really good feedback from what I can see, and obviously from me as well. So to have self-worth, that's something that you kind of need to have, or at least believe you can have, to be able to do live videos. So that's like a really key thing that everybody needs to have, because you absolutely have to believe in yourself, your ability, that you bring value to the world, and then that your product, whatever you sell, brings value to the world. So like, that's a really awesome thing. So guys, you need to start thinking about what were the epiphanies that you had. And I'll give you like a cheap way of like trying to work this out, because sometimes it can be tough, because, you know, you're where you are now, and it can be hard to remember where you were. So bearing in mind like where you are now, and keep in mind like where you are and what you're selling, whatever it may be, and your ideal customer. Map out your journey through life. And even if it means like starting where you are now, and then kind of going back to, okay, so where you are now, and like the courses that you've taken, if you've done any courses, the mentors that you've had, the books that you've read, the decisions you made. Like, were you ever offered a job and you didn't decide to do that job, and actually that led you to this thing? Moving, you know, did you move from one place to another place? Did you have a really tough, like, have you been on the verge of bankruptcy? Have you been bankrupt, like been made bankrupt? Have you lost it all? Like, has there been a point where you were doing really well? And this is what a lot of people call drinking your own Kool-Aid, American thing, getting high in your own supply. Have you ever been really, really successful and you're like, oh my God, I'm untouchable, everything's amazing, and then suddenly it's all come crashing down? And a lot of people find that happens, and that's like when they have the epiphany of, oh, actually, then I realised that loads of people talk about having teams, so they couldn't do it all on their own, all crashed down, built a team, everything amazing. Some people have the opposite experience, had loads of staff, weren't in control of the staff, everything crashed, and then they started again, and then they realised they needed to build better systems in their business. You know, and I've had contact with people who are systems people because they've had businesses crashed because there were no systems in the business, and it was all kind of like flying by the seat of your pants. So like, there could be so many things that have led you to where you are now. And what I want you to do is, if you're struggling to think of like what your epiphanies were, go back through your life, through your whole life, and write down all of the decisions you made, the things that you did, and like basically what led you to where you are now. And then you will start to see the stories that are going to become the stories that you talk about, and the stories that you use to sell what you do. And like, if you haven't read it, you should read Expert Secrets. I'll give you a link below. It's Russell Brunson's book. My copy's downstairs, otherwise I'd run and grab it. But it's like such an amazing book, because it brings together all of this stuff, like so many different things of working out who you're talking to. Yes, Eloise, absolutely. Like, yeah, totally. But there are some resources that I've used to try and map it out. But I still think you need to start out mapping out and like working out what kind of stories you could talk about, because stories are what people have used since the dawn of time to sell concepts. Like everything that sells really well is sold with stories. Even in hunter-gatherer times, everything was based around storytelling. You have to become good at telling stories. And the reason that stories work so well is if you just say to someone, Facebook's really amazing because you can reach like 1.5 billion people a day who are using Facebook. And they're like, oh, okay, that's great. Or you can do what I did today on a phone call with a client who is an energy healer. And I was sharing with her my story about going to network meetings, because she runs networking meetings. And then the fact that I've now had, from doing my videos, 100,000 views, which means 100,000 people around the world have seen me and have seen at least 10 seconds of me. And she was like, oh my God, you can reach so many people. And I was like, yeah, we've been talking about this for like 2 months. And like literally me telling her the story was the thing that made her realise she could reach so many more people. But if I hadn't told the story, when I hadn't told the story, they were just words going in. She didn't have that same epiphany, whereas when I told the story, she had the epiphany too. And that's what I want you guys to be doing with your potential clients, with your prospects, with everybody listening to you and watching you and reading you. I want you to give your audience the same epiphany that you had, because when you do, they're going to come on the journey with you, because they're going to say, oh my God, yes, and then that's why I need whatever it is that you're selling. So hopefully that really makes you think about the way that you're selling at the moment and the way that you're you're writing your copy, the way that you're doing your videos. You need to constantly have stories in there. If you look at the really like prolific people, they're always telling stories about what's happened in their life and then how that applies to a concept, an epiphany or something. So if you guys actually listen to podcasts, so I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there are almost always stories in there. They're not all, like, some people are just teach, there must be a lesson. Yes, lessons are good, but if you tell the story, people connect with you, and then they start listening to you more, and then they have the epiphany that you had, which means they're going to actually take action on it, rather than just go, yes, that's true, okay, and then not take any action. So you need to use stories, and the Heroes 2 Journeys is one of the stories that you need, and then you're also going to need a couple of others, but I'm going to hold those back for tomorrow, because what I want you to do first is go and map out your journey of how you got here, so you can have your origin story, your Heroes 2 Journey story, and then be able to keep using that throughout everything that you're putting out there. And I promise you that is really going to bring people into you more than anything else, is when you start using your kind of your epiphany story, your origin story. Everybody's just going to be drawn into you and then just follow you in your journey and come along with you. So that's been awesome for me today, and hopefully been awesome for you guys too. I will be back same time tomorrow, 8 p.m. GMT, other times across the world. And as ever, you can always catch up. If you missed this, if you missed some other ones, go over to the units. Now, if you are watching on your desktop, it will be around on the left hand side in the column. It says units. Go click on that and go and find the days. I've literally listed them by day to make it really easy for you, and then a short little title about what it's about. So go through. You can even tick off when you're done. Facebook makes it really easy for you. And if you're on mobile, then you just need to go up. When this is done, you need to go up to the cover photo, and just underneath there is the tabs that you normally get down on the left hand side. Go click on units and go back and watch the ones you've missed. If you're watching on desktop, watch on Google Chrome, and then you can speed it up if you want to. If you are capable of listening fast and absorbing the information, if not, do me on 1x speed. Gaston says he's live. Hello, Gaston. Really awesome to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me live. And yes, so guys, go and catch up on the ones you've missed. If you've missed any, do the homework. I promise you, like, this is for your benefit. It means nothing to me if you don't do the homework, because you won't actually take action. And that's what I want you to do. And Eloise is taking action. She is doing Facebook Lives. Stacey has taken action. She's getting hundreds of people wanting to join her group coaching, which is amazing. Like, I know other people are taking action because I'm seeing stuff all over the place. I can see who has changed their profile like about section and like modeled exactly what I said, which is also amazing. And you're getting people clicking on you and following your Facebook page. I've had feedback on people going, oh my God, someone's like found something on my page, and that's only because I changed my profile that led them to my page, and etc. So go and take action. That is what's important. So please listen, take it in, apply it to your business. Especially if you're feeling overwhelmed, like you've got me talking at you and with you, you've got other people that you're listening to. If you feel overwhelmed, take the bits that apply to your business and where you are right now and take action on those bits, and just park the rest for now. Like if I talk about groups and you haven't got a group, park it for now. That's fine. You can come back, but take action on the bits that apply to you right now, and you're going to have massive success, and we're going to have amazing success together. It's been great having you here this evening. If you missed the beginning, go back, head over to the units. It's where it's going to be, and I will see you again 8 p.m. GMT tomorrow, and I'm really excited to share some more story selling secrets with you. See you guys really soon. Bye.